and I wanted to know how you felt about this, but I feel like racism is used as kryptonite for us. I feel like black people need to have more emotional intelligence.
Oh, definitely.
Right. But what does racism pull on? Doesn't pull on logic.
Oh, no. How they make you feel.
Right. And so I feel like sometimes it's about more than manifesting. You got to do the work. We bad. You just cook it.
I got mad jokes today.
How you gonna cook my dome though? Oh man, Happy New Year to you.
Appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Ain't seen you. Happy belated too.
Thank you. Same to you.
Yeah. How was it?
Sag Cap.
Yeah.
We the best. I mean, I saw this post the other day and I was like, this is so legit. Jesus was a goat.
I never thought about that.
Drop the mic.
Oh man, I never thought about that.
He knew we was coming, so he made me a part of it. Genius.
If you haven't been feeling rich, we have one of the richest with us. The absolute richest, Rych Auntie. She's back with us. If you're watching on YouTube, what you should be doing, you'll see her sitting right next to me. We moved the studio. We still building it out. Okay. We doing some new things for you. Hope you like it. Let us know if you like it too. KeepItUplifting.com. Let us know if you like it. But without further ado, you may have been feeling down and you're now listening to the Keep It Uplifting podcast. How you feeling?
Great. I felt like when you said the biggest, I wanted to hit a Rick Ross.
Maybe in post that it will add that.
But instead of just say.
But being that this is the second podcast of the year for me, I wanted to start with something that I felt was pretty dope.
Okay.
And the youngest African American mayor has been elected.
Okay.
So it's a news segment. I like to call it Uplifting News.
Okay.
And, I just kind of open with a bright spot. So Arkansas City elects 18-year-old to be next mayor. 18-year-old young man.
Wow.
Yep. And this, I'm reading this from CNN. It's Jalen Smith graduated from high school in May. Less than a year later, the 18-year-old will be tasked with governing Earl, Arkansas, as the rural city's newly elected mayor.
Wow.
And he, he won handedly too. He beat Nimi Matthews 235 to 185 in votes. So he cooked up, man.
That was his whole senior class.
Yeah. And it's a small town. I believe it has like maybe 1,600 people or something like that. But
that is amazing.
Yeah, I thought that was a dope story. It was something I wanted to highlight. Obviously we're a little late, but I thought it was great because we always talk about like you could do whatever you want. You could do anything. And one of the things that we never push people to, or we talk about, how do we make a change? Let's make a change. Let's make sure that, we're impacting the people who matter to us. Let's make sure we're impacting our, neighborhoods and things of that nature. And we're not, we're never saying go get in government, right? Like you should be a basketball player. If you're, tall or if you're fast or you run track and field, all of those things that really everyone can't do. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like we're entrepreneurs, so we have a business. We talk about that, but even that is not an ever changing space, right?
Right. But just think about it. If he's 18, like he could be president in like 25.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that, but you never know. Yeah.
18-year-old mayor. Like,
yeah.
Like that just lets me know that, in my personal opinion, his parents and him were like very much, dedicated and very much, like, hey, you pouring those positive affirmations into him and just letting him know that you can be great. You can be whatever it is that you want to be. And I don't, at 18, baby, I was trying to be outside. So for him to want to dedicate his life to making, his community better is just like, it is very uplifting. Like, it's very inspirational.
Totally, right.
Like, so, I'm totally here for him. How can I like support him or something?
I mean,
I can move there.
I don't think you want to move to Earl, Arkansas.
Who Earl?
But no, just before we move on from this, a quote from the young man. He said, "I didn't run to make a name for myself. I ran because I wanted to help my community and move my community in the direction that it needed to be moved in."
I'm so here for that.
Yeah.
I love that for him. And I'm just going to speak greatness over him and his future. And for me to hear him now, I can't wait to hear about him in 10 to 20 years. So
yeah. And us as business owners, we can actually get involved. So I looked it up because I was talking to someone yesterday and they were talking about how you can be on boards. Right. Mm-hmm. So you could be on boards and you could figure out new legislation that's coming in for businesses and things of that nature. So you can really change things. So, I was like, okay, you're not in Maryland, but let me randomly look this up. And they were saying it's like $2,500 a year. And I'm thinking to be on a board where what new laws are coming in that's going to help business and move business. And you can even share that with, your circle and the mastermind groups that you're involved in.
That's pretty dope.
So the Northern Anne Arundel County Chamber of Commerce promotes a favorable business climate for our membership by providing legislative and business advocacy, professional education programs, and networking opportunities designed to help develop a wealth of contacts and resources to help businesses grow and expand.
Where I saw that, can you drop me the link?
I'll drop it to you. But I thought this was something that was also pretty dope, man. And we won't be boring you with a bunch of articles this episode, but I just, when you say you want change, right? Like we've made New Year's resolutions, and New Year's resolutions, the crazy thing about that is you never used to make a New Year's resolution to your gods back in the day. That's like how it originally started.
Okay.
So imagine how the belief was in gods, right? Like if you had the god of water or the god of war or something like that, and you wanted to end war, your New Year's resolution would be, hey, I'll do this if you end the war.
Okay.
Right? So it was really a strong reason for you to not falter on your New Year's resolution. You know what I mean? So I think when we talk about making moves, you see this young man who he said, I wanted my community to move in a certain direction. So I ran for mayor, right?
That is
right.
Huge.
And now, I'm bringing up the Chamber of Commerce, but it's like that was just a quick Google search, and it's a $40 application fee and roughly $750 a year to be a part of that group, just in the county that I'm in.
But two things I would say to that, like in order for you to be better and to evolve, right? Like the one thing that took in that time of you even looking, curiosity, right? And then the second thing is investment. Like you're willing to invest into your future, right? Like into you, your circle, and that's just as big, right? Your circle, because you're only as great as the people around you, because they're going to be pouring into your cup just as much as you pour into yours. So that is like, and that's, I feel like I'm like the Google queen sometimes. Call me George because I stay curious. That's totally news to me, because I thought it was, like I can't even necessarily say that I've thought about it per se, but I thought you had to be in some type of like Congress room, more or less, to be in those type of spaces, right? So I
mean, you don't know until you know, right?
And now I know.
And it's all here. One of the things that are going around right now, and it's something called like Chat GPT or something that is down now, but it's pretty much this AI that everybody believes is just going to wipe us all away. But the people who will succeed, the people who will succeed at their New Year's resolutions, the people who will succeed in life are the people who will take charge now, because you got to think, we have Google and people still ask questions about stuff, right?
Bruh.
That they could Google. I want to be politically correct in that. Like, it's good to ask questions, but did you do any research? Did you do any legwork? And we talked about that before.
I'm going to keep it even more simple. You can literally, my aunties be on the website.
Yeah.
And what they're looking for is right there. And they will still ask. They will still ask.
This says shipping is $5. Is shipping $5?
Yep, that's what they ask.
Oh, and before we leave this, Rych Auntie, you have rich uncles now on the site. Right? So
yes, started off with some Letterman jackets. I'm super excited. And I'm working with my vendors to add some more pieces to see how that works.
Okay.
And it's a little different with the uncles right now, just temporarily. I'm actually going to get some pieces, and my brother's going to be my model. I'm super excited for that, because you can't tell him he ain't cute. So, but I'm going to get some pieces so I can sample it even more. But right now, I am working directly with the vendors, and I'm doing what you call drop shipping for the rich uncle stuff, just temporarily right now. So I'm excited to see the uncles that come through. Like, they like, I see the aunties, so I'm trying to get with the aunties. So,
right.
I'm excited.
I like it because I always told you that you could be a stylist.
Right.
And the fact that you're putting stuff on there that you would possibly and potentially like to see another man in. So it's like a layup, you know? Mm-hmm. You already you giving game away for free. It's like, look, this is what you should wear.
Very much so.
This is how you should put it together.
Right.
I don't know what else to do for you.
Right. Like I told you earlier, your shirt was wrinkled.
I already knew the shirt was wrinkled, though. That's what I had, another shirt.
But just in case.
Yeah. Man, I did a pod one time. My lips was dry. Lips was dry. And my boy was just looking at me. I was like, dog, you ain't gonna tell me? Mm-mm. He was like, I ain't see it. All right.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, New Year's resolutions, people start new businesses, trying to embark on different journeys, and really 2023 is my year, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted to play this clip from Byron Allen, who everybody may know him for being on, I can't even think of which shows he was on, but being an entertainer or a comedian, that's how I know him. But one day I was researching and found out that he owned the Weather Channel.
Wait, what?
Yeah. And I found out because I was trying to find people who started a network, right? Like I follow other podcasts and they look at it as a broadcast, right? Like, because this technically is a broadcast. We got cameras everywhere, we got lights, we got mics, all of this stuff, right? So I was trying to figure out, like, how did other people do it, so I can, because it's always like, man, there's a blueprint out there somewhere. And he was on a Breakfast Club, so this clip is from the Breakfast Club. This is somebody else's TikTok, but Byron Allen was on there talking about his claim to fame.
Okay.
And I'll just start it over.
Part of my company from my dining room tape in 93. I did a television special where I interviewed a bunch of funny friends called Entertainers with Byron Allen. Yep. I called all 1,300 television stations and asked them to carry the show for free. They all told me no about 50 times. After a year of doing that, I was able to squeeze out 150 yeses. I got a TV station in every market from New York.
So
I was doing the math.
I gotta bust this down for a second, though. My man said he started his media company
at his kitchen table
from his dining room table. And he said he was just cranking out. This is when you ain't had no internet. So my man was in the phone book making phone calls, and people be acting like they can't.
Yellow page.
People be acting like they can't get stuff done, and it's like, dog, you got a smartphone. You have unlimited power in your hands. All right, I'm just had to stop right there because come on now.
to Waterloo, Iowa. Tribune had said to me, Byron, if you get 75% of the country, we will sell your commercial time, because I said to the TV stations, there's 14 minutes of commercial time. I'll keep 7 minutes. You keep 7 minutes. I'll sell my 7 minutes to national advertisers. You, local TV station, you sell your 7 minutes to local advertisers. I'll sell my 7 minutes to McDonald's, Pepsi, Johnson & Johnson, and General Motors.
You produced the show, did everything yourself?
Everything myself. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. Sat there for 1 year, worked the phones like crazy. Now, Tribune said, we changed our mind. We're not going to give you an advance of $400,000 so you can go into production. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, and I decided I'm going forward. I didn't know how I was going to get it done. It was tough. My home went in and out of foreclosure over 14 times over about a 4 or 5 year period.
Went from bankruptcy to billionaire.
And that's exactly right. They were
I don't know this man, but I love it.
Let's just talk about this for a second. Seriously, I thought you would like this because, you know, we're hustling. We're hustling, but I want to go from hustling to building. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what he did. He went from hustling, because we always talk about hustling. You got to hustle. You got to hustle. You got to hustle. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, what's next, right? If you're a hustler on the street, you can't ever get out because you're always hustling.
Right.
Right. So you're $500,000, you're $1 million, and whatever you're doing will either run out or to catch up with you because you still hustling. You never building anything. You never getting assets, investing that money in things that will get you away from the street, right? Because the hustle is supposed to grow you. Mm-hmm. My man hustling at the dining room table, right? My man said he had a deal on the table, said he was going to get it done. Like they always do when it may be us. And, you know, and I'm going to get into race at the end of this too, because I wanted to talk about that. But when it's us, sometimes, or in business, sometimes they say yes and then they be up.
Right.
Right. So at that point, he said, I'm going forward.
But what I would actually say is, I feel like what he's saying is what we say, just a different way, because what it sounds like, he went from no longer to surviving to thriving.
My man was surviving. His joint was, he said, my house is going in bankruptcy.
Right. But what I'm saying is, when you hear his transition, because I feel like once you start thriving, you're no longer in survival. You're like, how can I be better? Because now it's just like, okay, I'm tired of kind of like living that whole like paycheck to paycheck or whatever. Like, now, how do I take what I have and be better?
Right.
Like, and it don't even necessarily have to be monetary. It could just be knowledge. Like he had a well of knowledge. It's just running deep.
Right.
So now he's just like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I know everything that I need to do, but I'm gonna go forward. Right. And that's where you get out of that survival and you start thriving in, hey, this is who I am, this is what I got, this is what I don't got, and this is how I'm gonna be better. What that look like I feel like we get into the state of like, because you're trying to make it, you're still surviving. No, you're now thriving, because now you're no longer doing the same things you were doing. You're not making the same mistakes. You're learning, you're growing, evolving. So now you're thriving in who you're supposed to become. You're no longer surviving to just maintain.
My man went from how to why not.
No,
you know, because he was like, how I'm gonna do this? Now it's like, why wouldn't I be able to do this?
No, now it's, I'm going to do it.
I mean, hey, relentless Byron Allen.
I love it.
From bankruptcy to billionaire. That's crazy. Let me round this back. I'm cutting
4 or 5 year period.
Went from bankruptcy to billionaire.
And that's exactly right. There were days I didn't eat, days they turned my phone off. I was calling people from a payphone. And I got to know the lady really well at the bank. She says, your file keeps coming on my desk. What are you doing? I said, I'm not paying my mortgage because I'm paying the cameraman, the sound person, paying to get tape, paying to have my show edited, and I'm paying to put it on the satellite. I'm just trying to put a show in production. I don't have the money to do it. She says, listen up, honey. Don't let it go past day 89, because day 90, it goes to the lady next to me, and you don't want your file to go to her desk. I showed up on the 89th day. I paid my mortgage. I was floating. And finally, I turned the corner and I signed up all the movie studios to buy advertising. After I got the movie studios, I got soft drinks, fast foods, and packaged goods, and pharmaceuticals, automotive. And I went industry by industry. And I went to board of directors, to CEOs, and chief marketers. I'm on the phone. I'm going day and night. I'm on the plane every night. I'm 6 meetings a day. I put another show on, another show. Next thing you know, I had 43 shows on the air. One of the largest.
You can't tell me that's not thriving. You cannot tell me that is not walking in your purpose.
I'll tell you what that is. That's what being an entrepreneur truly is.
Very much so.
You got to think about it. My man started winning, he got even more consistent. Mm-hmm. He got even more diligent. He got even more hungry. Like, oh, really? Oh, it's working? Oh, it can work even more. You know, I mean, being on the phone, 6 meetings a day, hustling, not eating some days, and paying people with money that you need to put a roof over your head. And getting it to go to the line and being like, all right, well, oh, so this is the hustle. That's nuts.
It's not actually. It's really not. I ain't gonna hold you. As I'm looking at merchandise, I'm like, all right, I got this coming in, this coming in. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just push this over here.
Right.
Like,
and that's, you know what that is? That's being comfortable being uncomfortable. Because that's an uncomfortable situation.
Ooh, especially
to know that they could come and take the crib.
Baby.
That's where you shoot the show. They gonna
come in mid.
They gonna come mid broadcast.
Moving cameras out. Hey, excuse me. Let me get that real quick.
No, man. Like, but this is what, you know, is the epitome of being uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes a bill, if you know it's a certain bill that you don't have to pay, don't get in that habit. But hey, you ain't got no debt, because I ain't hear him say nothing about no debt. He just got the house. So obviously he was in a better position. But however you want to do it, if there's something that you really are passionate about, like you said, living in your purpose, moving in your purpose, this is fulfilling him. And he's like, I'm going to do this no matter what. And he was on go, and he wasn't going to stop until he got it accomplished.
Right. And I want to say this because I feel like we tend to get confused with this. Like, I tell some of my homegirls, right, like, don't confuse your intuition and your insecurities, right? Like, because they can feel very much the same. So in the same thing with walking in your purpose, don't confuse it feeling good and it being right. Like, because when it feels good, it feels like this is what it's supposed to be. Like, just because you enjoy doing it, are you willing to go this far for it? Right. Like, when you are willing to stay uncomfortable for it in the days where you know you're hungry, but you can go without eating because you know, like, if I put this money in here today, it could happen tomorrow. Like, those are the times when you really know that, hey, I'm walking in my purpose. Like, if I'm willing to not go get this Big Mac or whatever, you know what I mean? That Chick-fil-A, that Starbucks, right? If you are willing to give up the things that you love the most for the thing that you can't live without, then I feel like that's how you can kind of, you know, get a sense of like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You giving up sleep. You're willing to do just about anything to fulfill this idea. Like, I always say, when you have an idea, it comes from God, because he planted it in you. Now it's for you to walk in your faith to actually fulfill it. Right. Like, and you got to walk it. He can't lay it out for you if you're not willing to walk it. So it's like, when you get that idea and you like, I'm going to go with it and I'm going to push it. Like, you know, I truly believe that that is an indicator for you to know that, hey, I'm actually supposed to be doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just gonna finish it out. It was a long clip. My bad.
He held libraries in the world. I went to Verizon and said, I want to launch 10 networks with you. They said, we'll give you 6. We launched 6 24-hour HD networks. A few years later, we launched a 7th network. We ended up being the largest producers of court shows. And then a buddy came to me, a guy who satellited my networks. success begets success. He said, can we have dinner? He says, you don't realize this. Before I was the CEO of this satellite company, I used to be the chief operating officer of the Weather Channel. You should buy the Weather Channel. It's a great business, and it generates hundreds of millions of dollars. We got into it. I said, I'm going to buy the Weather Channel. I called a guy up. I said, we have an opportunity to buy the Weather Channel. It generates quite a bit of capital, and I need $310 million. I didn't use my own money. I borrowed it. I called him on a Friday morning. He has $100 billion that he manages. So I said, look, I'm here to help. You put it somewhere and get that return. I'm an asset. He sent his top executive to see me the next business day, Monday at 2:00. He said, this is one of the most amazing business stories I've ever heard. I'm going to give you a commitment letter tomorrow morning. Please close on the Weather Channel. Wow. And we did. Started my company.
Listen, what did we just also say at the beginning? You are just as successful as the circle. When you start you put yourself in certain rooms, like that's all it takes. Like over the weekend on Saturday, I had the opportunity to go to an entrepreneur ball. Yeah. I got to meet Miss DMV, Miss Maryland. Like there are no places that I'm really going where these two women are going to be, right, to my knowledge.
And
like,
you would know them, right? You wouldn't know who
I definitely would know who they are. Like, and it by no means is a shade to them. I just, these aren't people that I would follow, that I don't know. So it was just like, when I saw it on Eventbrite, I was like, this is different. Like, rather than just go out to, as I like to say, just go outside. Like, I went outside with a purpose. Like, I want to go meet a couple people, like, and I want to meet people that's in my space because as I elevate, I realize there are certain conversations that I can't have with my regular, I don't even want to say regular, but, my friends that are not entrepreneurs in my family, because they don't always understand when you're venting about something, or you're like, oh my God, I got this crazy idea. Like, they're looking at you like, what? Like, as much as I love my dad, he never fully understands a lot because my dad is so, very traditional in the sense of like, I got a paycheck coming every week or every 2 weeks or whatever. So not having that guarantee, they don't understand the risk that you're willing to take for something that you're extremely passionate about. So finding people that are very like-minded not only just help you elevate, but they're really great sounding boards. Yeah. To be able to talk, like one of my friends, she is in the beauty industry. She's an esthetician. She does a lot of things in the beauty industry. And I was like, hey, I'm revamping my site. Tell me what you think. Right. And she gave me some great feedback, right? Not only just her, just other friends, but I made sure I included someone that's an entrepreneur because she's going to be able to see things from a standpoint. Like my friends, they looking at it from a shopper, like, hey, a consumer. Yeah. And versus she's looking at it like a boss, like, nope. Okay, so what about this? Because when someone does a Google search, are they going to be able to find this? Like, so just thinking about that and having those people in your corner makes a world of a difference. Yeah.
I was in Florida for a whole month. And I had a ball, man. But my boy had tickets to see Lebron play in Miami. And, I was in the Tampa area. And he's like, bro, come down. Now, my boy owns A&V. I don't want to get it wrong, but it's A&V something. He owns a car rental company. Okay. And he just started it. He said it's doing well. And just like you said, your circle. And that was more of the reason I wanted to go. He's my boy. Mm-hmm. But I also wanted to let him know that, hey, I'm in your circle too, because he's been making a lot of moves, and actually he's been. I had to keep up. I wanted to, but it's like it's healthy competition. It's like, oh, I see him, going the extra yard. I'm like, okay, well, what haven't I done? What haven't I focused on, and how can I, just keep pace with him, or let me tap in with him to see what he's doing that maybe I'm not doing. Right. So I thought I thought we would have more time to talk about it. I didn't think it would happen to where, and let me backtrack a little bit because I'm getting ahead of myself. So I was going to fly down. Flights was crazy, and they wouldn't fly back at a certain time. Okay. Right. So even if I got a car off of Turo or rental car, I was probably going to have to sleep in the car. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna get the hotel. My boy, I asked my boy where he's staying at. He said Brickell. I say, oh, well, maybe I can sleep in the car, you know. But no, I say, you know what? Well, you know, it's Christmas time. It's birthday month. I'm in Florida for a whole month. Like, I'm already burning through bread.
Right, it's expensive.
Right? So, and I'm in Tampa. I'm in St. Pete. I'm out.
You outside.
Right? I'm out. I met a lot of people down there, but, you know, so I say, forget it. I'm going to get the hotel. Then I go to try to rent a car on Turo. So, you know, my driving record a little crazy. They won't let me use the Turo app.
What?
Right. So I had to overcome that obstacle too.
Okay.
Because I was like, nothing's going to stop me from going out here. One, to see LeBron play.
Another GOAT.
Right.
I just want to call that out. Capricorn. Okay.
But two, to kick it with my boy, because it's been a minute. Like, he running his business. I'm over here doing what I got to do. Then we also trying to just enjoy life a little bit. Right.
Right.
So I shoot down. It's the craziest ride ever. There was like this bridge that was just like bridge and ocean. And the bridge just shot straight up like 300 feet and then just came straight back down. And it's the bridge from like Tampa to other side of Tampa or something. I don't know. So anyway, I take this 4-hour car ride down there. I get down there. I thought I would have enough time. We thought we was going to do dinner. We didn't do dinner. Anyway, fast forward, meet up with him. We get to the game, enjoy the game. After the game, of course, we got to step out, right? But the craziest part was, you know, he was there with his lady, and she just wasn't feeling well. And you know, I ain't had nobody with me, so maybe she was just like, you know, I'll let y'all hang out. So she let us hang out. We go to Mango's, right? I use Lyft. I'm about to stop using Lyft because y'all acting up. I use Lyft. We got in some Altima. I thought he stole it. Like, it had every light on.
What?
You ever been in a car and you ain't want him to turn the light on because you ain't want to know what kind of car you was in? So I wasn't even trying to be mean. I wasn't even trying to be mean when we had finally made it to Mango's. He was like, y'all here. And I didn't even think we was going to make it over the bridge for real. Because from Brickell to Mango's, you know, that's like... that's like Oceanside. What is that?
Did you shake when you got out the car? Like,
nah, I ain't even. We was having too much fun. So my boy gets out of his side of the car easy, and I'm trying to get out. I'm like, the door don't work. My man reaches across my whole body, and it's like,
you was like this.
He was like, it worked. I said, oh, my bad. I ain't mean to offend him. So anyway, we get out, we get in line. They trying to sell us a table because we looking nice, right? We looking dapper. Get to the the host stand or the security guard to pay, and he's like, man, bring your shoulders down a little bit. I'm like, dog, what you talking about? He was like, you was looking small back there when you was. Oh man. So anyway, we had a good night, but
That is hilarious.
the craziest part about the night is, like, you know, you've been to Mango's before?
I feel like I have.
So Mango's has like beautiful women there. You know, they're not really dressed up. Like, they're not, it's not a strip club, but like they, you know, they got like beach attire or, you know, thongs and stuff on, right? So it's, you know, it's a nice spot. So anyway, I realized after we finally left Mango's and I get back to the hotel, I'm like, me and my boy was talking about business the entire time. Now, granted, we was catching up on life, but our lives
It's business.
are full of our business. So we were sharing ideas. We were talking about contacts and things like that. And I just think that furthers your point is, you know, I had a great night. We did a bunch of stuff. And we still talk. I thought I was gonna have to stay an extra day, or I was gonna have to sit him down or arrange a meeting for when we get back. And we really just chopped it up and talked about our lives, which
It's business, right?
is our business at this point. And I think that's what happens when you are around people. It's not like you're talking about things that are outside of their scope, outside of their norm, right? Like, it was so much that I actually wondered. It was so much business talk that I felt like we talked about business too much. I was like, did
Guilty?
we? Right, yeah. And the craziest part is, I mean, it was just natural for us. Like we,
Right.
you know, it was because we were talking about sports, this, that, and it was something where we just kind of connected. We were talking about fitness. We were talking about everything.
Right.
But that was a large majority of the conversation. And, you know, like Byron said, success begets success. I mean, look at us.
Hello. Hello. But you know what I can appreciate, because I feel like it can get, so I just had this like aha moment the other day. I was literally in the kitchen like cooking, and it really came to me like, I was like, oh dang, I wanted to talk about something, right? I can't remember, but it was pertaining to my business. But it was like, I want to talk about. Then I was like, who can I call? And I was like, they said when you like when you start elevating, not only just like your business, but just I feel like me as a person, like 2022 was 22 with two in. And but I left a lot of things and people right where they were.
Right.
And that journey I realized was very lonely, because what they say is lonely at the top, right? And when I came in that moment, I was like, that is so true. Like you want to be able to have just as many people that call you that you can call them. And when you realize that you can't call them, now granted, I have a couple good friends that have really great ideas, like, you know, that I can talk to. But outside of that, like when you don't have those like-minded people, it is really hard as you're elevating and growing, because you need those people to connect with and talk to, and just to kind of do a little, like, you know, post check, like, hey,
yeah,
like, am I doing this right?
Right.
Like, you know,
how's everything?
Right, like just kind of.
Did you call so and so? Remember
last time I talked to you, girl?
Right,
did you do this?
right.
Like, you know, whatever. So just having those, it's basically like having accountability partner in business, right?
Yeah.
Like we do that for each other, but then sometimes it's just like, you know, there's certain things I can't talk to you about owning a women's boutique that you're gonna be able to truly understand or whatever. So it's just like, dang. And I remember seeing what is her name? Milan. She was talking about how unfortunately women are not always as welcoming. Like if I could find a woman that's in the business that would be my mentor, like that would be awesome. But unfortunately, like not a lot of women are very genuine, right? Like in the space. So it definitely makes it lonely at the top, as they say.
Well, you know, I feel like that's with us more so than, when I say us, African Americans, black people, however you see yourself, and you brown and you didn't ask to be here, you know, however. But and I say that because I was watching Math Hoffa podcast, and he had the Earn Your Leisure dudes on there. And one of the conversations that they were talking about how we never get together. And I know young and old, like I've seen young and old women be catty with each other, race, you know, different race or same race, doesn't matter.
Right.
But we're in the 90th, like the percentiles, like 90-something% of us who have businesses, but have less than 10 employees. And when you say it's lonely at the top, I think we have to change that mentality, because look at Kevin Hart, right? Kevin Hart is a beautiful example of how you can build out something with your friends. Right. You can build success with your friends. I mean, that was the idea behind, you know, the Prodigal Brothers podcast that I started, right? You want to build it with the people that you are cool with, that you love, but you also want to be able to build it with people who look like you, who you know came from where you came from, and things of that nature. And it's crazy, because with us, we should be mentoring each other. Now, sometimes it costs. And that's what I see in Atlanta, right? You see the same faces often in Atlanta. And, you know, some people may get sick of it, but I love it. I'm like, oh, Neo with him? Oh, David with him. They know her too. Oh, and then you see them all grouped together, and they're willing to pay for each other's thing. They're willing to sing each other's praises, and I just feel like we have to follow suit in that a lot more and understand who is the leader. Like that's the problem I think we have too. Is like somebody can lead me. I'm cool with that.
Right.
Just because I own my own thing don't mean that you can't let me know what's up, you know?
Right.
And that's just, I feel like we just falter there a lot. And that pulls me into my next topic, which, and I wanted to know how you felt about this, but I feel like racism is used as kryptonite for us. I feel like black people need to have more emotional intelligence.
Oh, definitely.
Right. But what does racism pull on? Doesn't pull on logic.
Oh no. How they make you feel.
Right. So I feel like they've used that so well. When I say they, the powers that be, whoever, but it's used often. You can see it. And I thought of verse 48. You know that they are trying to get you to snitch. You know that they trying to get you to snitch on yourself.
In your homeboy next door.
Right. And how they always catch somebody up is through, well, you know, so-and-so told me that. For real? Like they always pull on our heartstrings, on our emotions, and we're rarely ever thinking with logic.
Right.
And I feel like in corporate America it happens a lot, right? You know there's discrimination that happens. It's happening in your face.
I've been a victim. I've experienced it. I'm not a victim. I've experienced
right,
it.
But when it happens in your face, people are waiting and looking to see if your face changed, see if your body language changed, see if your shoulders shrink. And we never are. We're never going to be super successful as a community, as a race, as a culture, whatever you want to say, if we always move on impulse.
Right. So I would say two things to that, right? So when it comes to the emotions and impulse in like working in corporate America, right? Like I feel like that was something I had to learn, right? Like especially being a black woman, and then especially being a darker complected black woman.
Right.
So it's just like, because I know if I say something, I'm going to be depicted as the angry black woman.
Right.
Right. So I'm well aware of that. So I became really good at, okay, hey, I just want to make sure I didn't misunderstood what you said.
Right.
It seems like there's a gap in what you said and possibly what I interpreted.
Right.
Can you fill the gap for me?
Right.
Because now I'm not going to feed into it. My voice is still the same. My expression didn't change. Hey, what's going on? Right. Because now I know what you're doing, and rather than me, who you talking to?
Right. Be tough.
Right. Because there was a couple times where, you know, because it is very much like, you know, you're being attacked with certain things. You know that. But
sometimes it ain't that.
Sometimes it's not, but there are more times than none that it is. And your experiences may be different from mine, but I'm speaking from personal experiences where
I'm not attacking your experience.
No, I'm not saying you're attacking, but I just know that when you see those, you have to know how to respond and not respond with logic and not emotion. Right. Because of the fact that, like, if you do, you're going to feed into a narrative, right? You know, because there could be a time where you feed into it and it wasn't it, right? And you just took it that way.
But even when we've seen it with Indian people, though, yeah. Right. I've experienced their names get butchered, and they even someone will tell you know, just for sake of a name, Steve, what their name is, and Steve still keep butchering their name. Yeah. Or they say, I like it this way.
Yeah, no. I have that all the time. And my name is literally Arlise. I've been called Alicia, Arlene. Right. And it's like, no, my name is actually Arlise. Right. Like, or when someone will literally like send you a message and spell it wrong, like, hi, you spell my name wrong. It's
Right.
this, and then
Right.
they'll intentionally like do it again, and it's just like what in the world?
But none of that makes money though. And I hate to see.
doesn't.
I hate to say it like money is the end all be all. But what are we at work for?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, what are you in business meetings for?
Exactly.
Or even if you're potentially in a violent situation, what is that going to take you away from doing for yourself, your family, and the people that rely on you?
Exactly.
Right?
Like I say that when you have those issues, you know, I tell my brother all the time, even we talked about it. You continuously complain about something. Or even if you vent about something, it eventually becomes complaining. And if you see that this is a problem that continuously happens, then what are you going to do to remove yourself from that situation? Because clearly it's a problem for you at that point.
Right.
So what are you going to do to remove it? Right. But the other thing I was going to say when it comes to our community and acting on impulse and not being together is very much, I truly believe that sometimes people in our community don't know how to humble themselves enough to say they're inspired, right? I truly believe and I was going to tell you earlier, I'm big on the tongue and what you speak. It wasn't so much as you was looking at your friend in competition.
Right.
You was looking at him through a lens of you were inspired.
Right.
I'm not competing with you. I'm inspired by you. Like, dang, how did you do that? Like, teach me. Right. Like, not everyone knows how to humble themselves enough to where they're like, me humbling myself to ask you a question doesn't make me smaller.
Right.
It makes me bigger because I'm willing to say, you're doing something. I like it.
Right.
How can I do that?
Right.
And knowing that what you're doing doesn't necessarily look the same for me, is going to be totally different for me because we're different. But be okay with saying, hey, I love what you're doing. Teach me.
Right.
And I don't think that our community has that because that space of being able to come to you, like whatever that makes that person feel like, it makes them feel smaller. But and that has nothing to do with me, of course, because it's like, you.
But that's the thing that I was talking about with us is if you have more than me and you look like me, I need to make it seem like I got more than you. Or I need to make it seem like I'm doing better than you.
Right.
Because I'm going to feel a certain way if somebody thinks that I don't make as much as you or I'm not doing as well as you. Like the aesthetics are so built into us that we can't even absorb information sometimes. Because when you look at the people who we idolize, all of them, and I won't even say not the brightest, all of them aren't the best examples for us to look up to. Just because they got nice chains, just because they got nice cars, just because, like, there's a lot of finessing that's also going on. Because there's a lot of people that was out here selling them courses, telling you how to get the bag and showing you Range Rover, rented, leased. You know, they finessed, small business credit cards and a whole bunch of stuff. Where them people at?
Right. What I was about to say, I lost my train of thought. What I was going to say is, I actually had a conversation with my therapist about this, right? Because I'm a visual person or whatever. But when we were talking, and I was explaining just kind of like a bunch of different things, and just in the dialogue, I was just saying like how I remember someone asking me, was I materialistic?
Right.
And I said, yes, if your definition basically is if I like nice things, right? Because if you like nice things, or if you want nice things, or if you have nice things, you tend to be labeled as materialistic, especially if you like designer things, right? And in that conversation, as I'm talking, right, like, and literally therapy is just sometimes just you thinking your thoughts out loud and just kind of figuring things on your own. I came to the full like circle of one. I know I like nice things because of the environment that I grew up in. Right. Being from New York, it was just kind of like having the latest shoes or whatever was just great. But then as I kind of like dug deeper, like my whys or whatever, I realized you wanted those things because you wanted respect. Right. Like, and I feel like as people, we want that. Right. So it's like, why do we idolize those people that have those things? And it's because people respect them. Right. And why do people respect them? It's because they have this notion that they make money or they're well respected or they have this type of influence, and like you want those things. So it's just like, oh, so basically all I want is to be accepted and respected. Basically. Yeah. And ultimately that's what it kind of like boils down to. Whereas in other communities, it's not about what you wearing, it's about your actual character. Like how you take care of your family. Like granted, those are things that we pay attention to, but more times than none, it's more or less how you look. Yeah, man. Yeah. I think you wrapped that up. I got one last thing I wanted to touch on. People pay attention, man. Bhad Babie says that all the men that sub to her OnlyFans should be locked up. Bhad Babie.
Yeah, and I know you don't even know who she is, but she was some younger. She was the Catch Me Outside girl.
Barbie. Isn't it Bhad Barbie?
Bhad Babie or
Barbie. I think it's something like
whatever it is. But
yeah.
So all I want to say is like there's just a lot of misinformation going on out there. Like, you know, they got I mentioned Chat GPT earlier and all of these things that we're starting to rely on technology. But do some research, open a book every once in a while. Mm-hmm. The interview with Barstools was with the guy who used to be a quarterback for North Carolina. He I can't think of his name, but he's done it with Boosie, he's done it with other people, but it's like a little comedy thing, and then there's a dude on the side eating ice cream. Okay. But on every major black outlet, and probably TMZ, but I saw it on, Instagram and on Twitter from, I won't name them, but they just put that up. And it's like everybody's putting stuff up just to get clicks and likes and attention. But if you actually watch the interview, that wasn't what she said.
Oh, a soundbite.
Right. And it was chopped up and everybody just ran with it. And you go to the comments and there's a bunch of us sitting there commenting like these people need to go to jail and this and this. And it's like there's just so much misinformation out there. Mm-hmm. Stay on your purpose. Stay locked in. Stay focused. If Byron Allen didn't teach you anything, all you have to do is persevere and keep it uplifting.
Make sure to like, comment, share, and most importantly, keep it uplifting.
Take it up, listen.